Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Hope everybody's doing well, enjoying their holiday season. I am looking forward to the end of 2020. That's a few weeks away. This has been a crazy year, and we hope that 2021 will be better. So today I am going to be talking about what I really feel is an absolute perfect movie. I talk a lot about movies I like, TV shows I like. In the description, I'll say, hey, this is my favorite TV show of all time, my favorite science fiction movie of all time, one of the greatest science fiction fantasy series of all time. But the movie I'm going to talk about tonight really and truly is a perfect movie. I mean, everything, the acting, the dialogue, the sets, the attention to detail, the way it's shot, the music, drama, horror, suspense. I mean, just a little bit of everything, but I really feel one of the greatest movies. It's been out for about 38 years now, and the funny thing is, just 2 years ago, I finally noticed something that I had never noticed before after dozens of times of watching it, and actually, just last week, I rewatched it in preparation for wanting to talk about it in this video, and thanks to a video I saw on YouTube, I picked up something that, again, I've never seen in 38 years. And it's amazing because this movie is one of my guilty pleasure movies. I've seen this literally dozens of times. I love this movie to death and beyond. Every time I see it, I notice something else. I am talking about John Carpenter's The Thing, one of my personal favorite movies of all time in the realm of horror and science fiction. And like I've said, really think this is an absolute perfect movie, and I'm going to tell you why. If you've been enjoying my channel, please subscribe. Hit the little notification bell up top so you'll be the first to know when I post a new video. If you enjoy this video, hit the like button. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me something you like about it, something you don't like about it. Tell me your thoughts on this movie. Now, let me give you a little background. This video might be a little bit longer. I've been trying to make them shorter than I did initially, but this one, I'm very passionate about this, so it might be just a little bit longer, giving you a heads up. This is made by the great John Carpenter. John Carpenter is my favorite director of all time. For those of you who know me, I'm not a celebrity person. I'm not a Hollywood person. I respect the work. I respect the music, but most of the times I can't stand the people. But John Carpenter, I don't know anything about him really personally, but he's my favorite director. He's made such amazing movies in his career. Halloween, They Live, The Fog, Escape from New York, In the Mouth of Madness, Prince of Darkness, Body Bags, Big Trouble in Little China. I mean, and the list goes on. The guy is just an incredibly talented filmmaker. In a lot of the movies, he does his own music. Synthesized music, but it really fits the mood of the story he's trying to tell. Like I said, but I think heads and tails above any else is this movie. This is his greatest movie. I'll be talking about some of his other ones in future videos, but I mean, hands down, this is his best. So, The Thing is a remake of the 1951 or possibly 1952 movie, The Thing from Another World, which in itself is based on a story written back in 1938 called Who Goes There? The premise is basically this, more or less the same. Of course, they make some changes for movies, Hollywood always does. I mean, it sticks more to like the vision of the original story, I should say. Now, I've seen the original one with James Arness from the 50s. It's pretty good. I like the old cheesy sci-fi movies from that era, no doubt. But I first saw this as a kid and just fell in love with it. Scared the crap out of me, But just, again, such an amazing movie, such an amazing cast. They all did so well together. I can't give this movie enough praise. If you've never seen this movie, stop the video now, go watch it first, and then come back and the video, because I'm going to give you spoilers on this one. In the past, sometimes I've told you basically the whole plot of a movie. Other times I've tried to keep it spoiler-free, and I slip. This time we're going to talk about the movie, and then if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, either stop watching the video or come back to it later. So basically what the story is, it's in 1982. It's at an Antarctic U.S. science base. There's 12 men there, and, they're basically doing their thing. There's a doctor, there's 2 helicopter pilots, a cook, a medical guy, whatever. The movie starts, you see this dog running through the ice, and you see a Norwegian helicopter chasing after it and shooting at it, and of course they can't shoot worth a crap, so, the dog ends up at the American camp, and, the Norwegian helicopter lands and tries to start shooting at it again. It hits one of the American scientists, and so the Americans retaliate, kill him, blah blah blah. So he had said something before he died, but of course nobody spoke Norwegian to know what the heck this guy was saying. And you can tell right away something is off with this dog. Anyway, long story short, they bring the dog in. They're trying to discover what happened. You see something is off with this dog. They decide that they have to get in the helicopter and go up to their camp, to the Norwegian camp, and see what's going on. So, Kurt Russell, he's playing a character named R.J. McCready. He's the primary pilot. He goes up there with the doc, and they discover, excuse my French, a shitstorm. I mean, the base is on fire. Nobody to be found. They find this creature-looking thing outside with like two faces that's been burnt. They go inside. They find a guy that had slit his wrist and slit his neck. And then they find this block of ice. And, obviously this block of ice is missing something. So they're picking up all the paperwork and video they can find, and they bring that back to their base, and, they want to kind of see what happened. There is one guy that can kind of sort of translate a little bit, so he's doing his best to figure out, what happened to the Norwegians that caused them to go nuts. As this is happening, the dog is kind of making its, subtle movements around. And like I said, John Carpenter's music in this thing is just amazing. Like, you can just tell something is up. Basically, you see the dog walk into somebody's room. It's just a shadow, so you don't know which of the 12 men's room that he walked into. But the next morning, the guy who had been shot, he's playing cards or something, and the dog runs past his leg, and he's kind of like, "Hey, will you put that dog with our dogs? It's driving me crazy." So the dog handler guy, played by Richard Masur, I think is his name, he puts him in the pen with the other dogs. There's 6 other dogs in there, and then that's when the alien first comes to life and like sprouts all these legs and starts trying to like kill the dogs and take over them. What the thing is, basically, it's an alien creature, that kind of imitates you. It takes over your body. It imitates your cells. It absorbs you and becomes you. So it kind of hides. Anyway, so it starts killing the dogs, and there's this whole big ruckus, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. So everybody makes their way to the pen, and they see this, crazy looking alien thing killing the dogs. So they call for Keith David, playing a character named Childs, a great actor. This was actually his first movie. He gets the flamethrower and they kill it. So they think, but obviously, the dog had visited with somebody beforehand. So, they're trying to figure out this mystery, and, Wilford Brimley's in it. I guess he's like a paleontologist or something. He's trying to dissect it and figure out what's going on. And as they're doing that, he's doing that with the doctor and one of the other scientists. They're like, well, we got to go back to this base, the Norwegians, and see where they dug up this block of ice. They go back, they're looking at the maps. They go back and they discover that the Norwegians found a spaceship that had been buried in the ice for like at least 100,000 years. And they excavated the area where the pilot was, because the pilot had either gotten thrown out of the ship or crawled out of the ship or whatnot. And that's what led to all hell breaking loose at their camp, killed everybody, whatnot. So, anyway, so now all this stuff starts happening back at the base, and it's great. It's like the whole paranoia takes over, and who's real and who's an alien, and all this weird stuff starts happening, and you don't know who to trust. Nobody knows who to trust. They're 10,000 miles from nowhere. They're completely isolated. They can't raise anybody on the radio. So it just devolves into like just fear takes over. Fear takes over, and people do stupid things. That sounds really familiar, doesn't it? But I digress. Anyway, so just the movie goes on, and like what I love about this movie, one of the many things I love about it, practical effects. Yeah, there were some special effects, but this is long before the CGI crap. This is practical effects, puppets, and animatronics and whatnot. Amazing look to this movie. Like I said, the music, the suspense, it's so incredible. I don't really want to spoil too much of it. If you've never seen it, I would definitely encourage you to see it. But, it's just so incredible. Like I said, the cast plays so well off each other. The dialogue is great. The music is great. The way that the scenes are shot are great. The camera, the lighting, the settings, the set, the animatronics, the special effect. There's nothing bad about this movie. Nothing. It's what I had alluded to earlier in the video. I'd seen this movie dozens and dozens and dozens of times. I mean, this is one of my all-time favorite movies ever. I know I say that a lot, and it is true. I mean, there's so many movies and TV shows that I absolutely adore and I love since I was a kid. And I'm not just throwing that term around. I mean, I'm literally telling you guys the best of the best in my opinion, or my reactions to them. But what makes this movie so great is, here it is, 38-year-old movie, seen it all these times, I kind of pride myself on being more aware than your average person, having a little bit heightened sense of awareness. My time in the Army, that was probably the most important lesson I learned that stuck with me all these years, is just be aware of your surroundings, be aware of the situation on the ground. Most people are so in their phone or in their own head these days that, they're kind of oblivious to so many things. And it's funny because I can be greatly oblivious to a lot of things too. Generally speaking, though, I'm pretty spot on paying attention. Well, here we go, 30-something years after this movie's been out. All these times I've seen it, I always had my theories about, who was human, who was a thing, and for the most part, they're pretty clear on most of the characters, but there is some ambiguity in there, and there's some left to your imagination, or you're trying to figure out when a certain character becomes the thing, or, whatnot. So, I'm not going to spoil the whole movie, but the ending is basically damn it, I just spoiled it. There's two characters left. There's Keith David's Childs, and there's R.J. McCready. Okay, I spoiled it. All right. I'm not going to go crazy with it. Sorry. Deal with it. I did warn you guys ahead of time. So they're trying to determine, which one of them is real and which one of them is the thing. So there's tons of debate in the fandom about this, and I've seen this 100 times, and I have my theories about it, but I was never certain, because John Carpenter kind of left it up to your imagination, and one of the great things about his movies is he just makes them in a way so that you do. Sometimes what you don't see is scarier than what you do, in other words. But I hadn't realized until a couple of years ago how much action is going on in the background that if you're not paying attention, you're missing it. Again, so you watch the end of this movie, they've blown up the camp, they think they've killed the thing, there's only these two guys left, it's going to be 100 below soon, they're going to freeze to death, and then, Kurt Russell's there, and Childs comes walking up. Now, Childs had disappeared earlier in the movie, claims he went after one guy who they knew was the thing, and he's asking him, where were you, man? And again, I had never noticed this till this particular thing I'm talking about till a couple of years ago. He's like, oh, I was chasing this guy, da-da-da. So I saw a video a few years ago, and it was like, it hit me like a ton of bricks, like, holy crap, how did I not see this? So I went back right away, watched it. Again, I've watched it a couple of times since then. You see Kurt Russell's breath like crazy, and you hardly see any coming out of, Keith David's character, Childs. That's a pretty big hint right there, Again, it could be interpreted different ways that, maybe he was closer to the fire or he was facing a different way, whatever. I'm pretty convinced that he was the thing at the end of the movie. So there's also another debate that, they had been blowing stuff up with Molotov cocktails, and they had, bottles that they were putting gas in with the rag and, throwing them. So it looks like he's almost, Kurt Russell's character, R.J. McCready, is getting ready to take a drink from it, but he doesn't, and he hands it to Keith David. He takes a swig, and, because he's like, well, we're going to die soon, whatever. There's a lot of debate that, well, Kurt Russell's character gave him the Molotov cocktail to drink, and he drank it, not knowing, and that's how it was kind of like, he makes this little smirk and laugh at the end, and you're kind of like, why? He's about to die and freeze to death. That's another big theory. But the one I found out about last week, had never even considered, because like I said, I love movies like this. I love when movies do a lot of this stuff in the background that the super observant people, like who go back and comb frame by frame, will see, that your average ordinary viewer will not, because you're so into the story. But there's a scene where, there's only a few of them left at that point, and Keith David, his character Childs, is kind of looking out the window on guard, and you clearly see that, next to him there's a blue coat, a green coat, a beige coat, and 3 sets of boots neatly stacked. Now, one of the things about the Thing, the alien, is when he takes over you, he pretty much shreds your clothing. So it comes back a few minutes later, and the door's open. That's when, Child supposedly went out after this other character. The coats are all messed up. The boots are all messed up. I never noticed this. In 38 years, I never noticed it, and it blew my mind the other day. I was like, holy crap, there's another hint. Then there's another scene where, after a few guys have been killed, they're all in the rec room together. Everybody's suspicious. Everybody's, fighting with each other and paranoid and whatnot. And, everybody's talking. Again, this is a video I just saw 3 days ago, except for this one minor character who's in his own world, oblivious with his, headphones in. And the theory is, he was already taken over and he's not paying attention because, he's... And I was just like, damn, I never noticed that. There's so many things like this going on in the background. And to some extent, there's like that in a lot of John Carpenter movies. This one more than any other one, I think. But it's just amazing to me that a movie I love so much, that I've seen so many times, 38 years old, and I can still go back and find something new about it to make me love it even more, Again, I did spoil a little bit here and there, but if you have not seen this movie, go see it. Trust me, you will not regret it. If you're a fan of horror, if you're a fan of science fiction, just so good, so good. The best of John Carpenter. And, he wasn't a big commercial success, and neither was the movie. It's kind of funny because the movie was a flop in the theaters. And once it came to home video back in the early 80s, it became a cult classic, and it's blown up now to where now it's so well known and so well loved. But, when it was in the theater, it was really got crappy reviews. Now, I don't ever go by, reviewers because they can be stuck up and, have an agenda. And half the time, movies that they say are so incredible, I wouldn't take a leak on them. And then there's other ones that they call crap that you wouldn't put at the bottom of a birdcage, which are some of my favorites. So everything's subjective, But this is a great movie. I would definitely recommend checking it out. Now there is, like I said, there's the original version in 1951 or 52, the Thing from Another World. Decent movie, but not really related to this one. There is a prequel movie that was made just a couple of years ago, also called The Thing, that literally is, set a week before this movie, leading directly into this movie, and it's just so well done how they transitioned it. You would think that they were filmed it back and then, and the set looks the same, really well done. So anyway, I've kind of rambled on. This has been a long video here. I had been trying to cut my videos down. This one, again, I didn't even say everything I wanted to say, but just such an incredible movie, everybody. I definitely encourage you to check this out if you've never seen it. Watch it with the lights out, on a dark, cold, stormy night, and see how you feel about it. Let me know. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel. Make sure you hit the little notification bell so you'll be the first to know whenever I post a new video. If you did enjoy the video, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, tell me something you enjoyed about it, something you didn't enjoy about it, something you love about the movie, something you don't love about the movie. Again, sorry I ended up spoiling so much of it. I really, it's a toss-up when I do these videos because it's these movies are so old that if you haven't seen it by now, it's kind of but I mean, at the same time, I try to encourage people to go out and try something new and want them to experience it and enjoy it for the first time themselves. So it's I don't really intend to spoil it, but sometimes you kind of have to. So anyway, I will see you guys in the next video. Make sure, check the skies, I think is what they said at the end of the original. We'll see you later.